If you've ever had to coordinate a team of people working on multiple projects, you know that the hardest part is keeping track of where everyone is up to and what everyone is working on. That's what Trello helps you see instantly at a glance. This is Trello. Trello is really simple. It's just a bunch of lists, and each list has on it multiple cards. And each card is one of the little projects that your team is working on. On the right-hand side, you see a bunch of images here. Those are all the people on this team, and they all have access to this board. And this particular team is a company called Artist Exploitation Incorporated. What they do is find young garage bands on YouTube and then give them an extreme makeover and then an exploitative recording contract. So on the left-hand side, we have the new bands that we've just found on YouTube, and when we find a new one, all we have to do is click Add Card and type in the name of whoever we found on there. Each of these cards has a bunch of stuff on the back of it, which you get to just by clicking on the card. This one has some voting, as you can see. There's a bunch of conversation, like a little chat here, and of course you can upload and embed things. So there's an uploaded YouTube video of the band live at work. The first thing that we're going to do on this team is pick the top ranked bands. Everybody votes on the ones that they like, and the ones that are best, we're going to actually do live in-person auditions. And so we're just going to drag over some of those cards into the audition column in order to choose the ones that need an audition, and then I'm going to assign people to them. So I'm going to assign Lena will be in charge of My Little Brother, and Tyler is Canadian, so he can do Girlfriend in Canada. And Justin's going to do Sedate the Lemur. And I really like that Sedate That Lemur band, and it got a lot of votes. So I'm going to drag it up to the top here, so we work on that one first. By the way, this stuff is all happening in a web browser over the internet, and everything is instantly synchronized as you make changes. So whatever changes I make here will immediately show up in all other browsers, everywhere else on the internet. And so people can just keep a copy of this open on their desktop and immediately see what's going on with their team as the changes are made. They'll immediately reflect on there. All right, so Justin goes in, he does an audition of the Sedate the Lemur band. He thinks they're really awesome. We're going to sign them up, and we send them over to the makeover department just by dragging them over here. And I'm going to assign our makeover artist, Michael, to work on that. Michael is going to actually just draw a little image of what he thinks the band should look like. There's his drawing, and upload this to the back of the card where everybody can see it. There we go. And finally, he's going to send it over to the final review process when he's done. And I'm in charge of all the final reviews, so I'm going to assign myself to that card. And when I look at this band, there's a couple of changes that I want to make. So I'm going to add a checklist here of all the things that I want to change. First of all, I think it should be a little bit more glam. Secondly, I want to somehow find a way to exploit the teenage girl's love for vampires and Twilight and everything to do with that whole thing. And third, more cowbell, definitely. Once I've added my checklist, I'm just going to take this card and send it back to the makeover department where Michael's going to go in there and make these changes that I've asked for. He's already got a picture that has a slightly more glam version, and then he can check that off. For capitalizing on Twilight, he's just going to propose a different name for the band. That should do that. And the cowbell we can always add in post-production. No problem. So he sends it to me for final review, and I love it. And I just drag it over to the Record First Album column, where we assign our recording engineer, John, to work on that. Now, everything about this process is completely reconfigurable at will. So, for example, if we decide that this band has to wait another year to get a little bit older, we can make a new list for bands that are waiting to get older. There we go, and we can drag it over there and wait. It's a very simple process by which anybody can keep track of everything that's going on easily. Let me show you a couple of other simple Trello boards. This is not only for exploiting youth bands. 400 Ventures is a VC firm. They invest in small startups, and their deal flow comes in on the left-hand side, ideas for investments. They get reviewed by associates, and then they get assigned to partners to review. They go to a full partner meeting, and the current portfolio is things that they have invested in. Past investments is things that they've already sold. So that's an example of a small team using Trello to keep track of all their investments and make sure that they know where everything is up to. Another example I have here is the system administration team. This is a real board from the Stack Exchange system admin team. George and Kyle use it to keep track of stuff that they might want to do one day, stuff that they're going to do, stuff that they're doing right now, etc. And everybody can instantly see where the team is up to on all of their projects. Trello is optimized to run on any size screen. So I can run it on a smartphone, or you can run it on this big video display that we've set up so that everybody on the team can look up and instantly see what's going on. And of course, it's all synchronized. So if you make a change on the phone, that'll immediately show up on the screen behind me. Trello is easy to use, it's free, and it's available today.
My name is Lee Hoffman, and I'm the CEO of Very, and we're building a really fun and engaging way for everybody in the world to learn online. We had literally tried tons of different apps, from the most brand name ones to, obscure ones, to manage software development and design and the other things that we're doing in the company. And I remember the first time I went on Trello, it was just instantly intuitive and easy to use, and no other app we had ever tried was able to do that.
We had initially started using Trello mostly for software development, which is what I think most people had thought about it as its primary use. But I actually started using it to manage our content creation. We had a growing team, and it was a great way to manage this team of interns, and everyone could see what everyone else was working on, see what everyone else's priorities were too, so it allowed for better transparency across team members. And I also use it for my personal to-do list outside of anything I do for work, which is really nice because I can also catalog things I've done in the past. We love Trello as much as we like Jello.
So the video's over, and that's the overview of Trello. Now, the next thing would be to say Trello is useful for things like Linux users groups. We could give the specific example of if you go to trello.com/newlug, you'll notice that we already have some Trello boards set up. I can't see incredibly clearly what's on the screen, but I'm understanding the general gist of what's there. So basically there's two boards, the newlug planning, meeting planning, and newlug presentation ideas. So let's do the newlug meeting planning. And just click that. Now, you will see here a list of all of the things. A list of all of the meetings that we've planned via Trello. Now, similarly to what they did on the video, we've created cards for the different types, the different statuses of a meeting. Now, what you can see here is that currently the January 2012 meeting is actually set to pre-meeting communication, and the meeting's happening, so I'm actually just going to move it over. And you'll notice that in real time, it changed for you to reflect what I did. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the card for January 2012 meeting. Tim, if you want to do that too, you can. Basically, there's a couple different things on here. There's a pre-event checklist, which went over the types of things that you would need to have pretty much planned before a meeting happens. Like, what are we going to talk about? Where are we going to meet? Who's going to talk about it? Do we know anything about that person? So we've done most of that. I believe, we actually took care of the camera thing as well, so let's check that off. Then the event checklist appears to already have been taken care of by Tim. Then we have done the communication as best as we could, given that there was a snowstorm. And now, once the meeting is completed, really the only thing that we need to do in regards to this particular meeting is to do post-event type activities. So, for example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a screenshot from this Hangout. to the card. It's almost done uploading. Now, you will see, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see that there's something new on this card, which is actually a screenshot of our Google Hangout that we had together as a record of what was happening today. So it happened for reals. And yeah, if you click it, it gets bigger, apparently. But yeah, so now it occurred, it was real, and all of that jazz. And theoretically, the other things that would happen is if we were recording this, then we would, get the recording re-encode and post the recording online, so that people could look at it for posterity forever, which is awesome, or at least until, or as long as Blip TV exists, because I think all of it was there. But yeah, so that's basically what happens here. When this meeting is done, we can move this card from doing the event and event logistics to post-event activity. If we still need to do any of that video encoding related stuff, we're waiting for the presentation slides from the presenter that was presenting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Anything that would be directly related to this month, we put in this card. And it's kind of a convenient place to store everything instead of, oh yeah, I put that on my hard drive someplace, I think, and or then reinstalling Linux and realizing, oh wait, all that stuff from the meetings for the last 6 months was on that drive before I formatted it. Oops. Or having it in my personal Dropbox, but not have it be accessible by anyone else if they care about the meeting or anything like that. So, one of the great things about this is that while all of that crazy stuff is happening with the January 2012 meeting, you can also see anything that happened in the past, like the October, November, December meetings, or look to the future to February 2012. Like, for example, next month we still need to determine what we're going to talk about, when we're going to meet, where we're going to meet, and who's going to talk about it. Which, I mean, the goal for Newlug is to have, at least 1 month out, preferably 2 months worth of activity, roughly planned, but not like super finely planned. So a tool like this, well, actually, let me do something real quick. Just trying to. Anyways, what I was going to do is I was going to try to clone the card. Oh, speaking of cloning, if you are using the Chrome browser, there is a Chrome add-on that allows you to do some additional actions in addition to the stuff that's going on. It allows you to clone boards, clone cards, clone lists, that sort of stuff. And go to the Chrome store, which is, I think it's chrome.google.com web store. And then the specific, I'm going to put the link in the chat. Oh. The specific add-on that allows you to do the cloning is actually just a Chrome add-on that allows you to, it takes additional properties on the Trello.com domain. And the reason that I found this is that the development of Trello is actually tracked using Trello. So I'll give you a link to that as well. Because if at any time you are wondering about what's going on with Trello and the status of everything, they've got a board right there. Sorry, I was trying to swallow a frog. That was not successful. Yeah, so if you look at that, yeah, that's the Trello development board. So you can see things, known issues, ideas, what they're trying to do, what they've already implemented, and that sort of thing, which is if you are wondering about, I want to get stuff done, but I wonder if I can do this, this is the place that you can see. You can literally look at everything that is happening and say, oh, I can do that, and then do that. So that's kind of cool. But one of the main points of bringing this up is the only participants on the Trello board right now, at least actively, are Tim and I. But that doesn't have to be that way. Specifically with the meeting ideas and that sort of thing, we want lots of people participating in this, because the more people that have the ability to give feedback on the stuff that's going on every day in newlug, the better, especially because I have a class that meets Thursday evenings every week for the next semester, and I won't necessarily be able to come to many/any meetings in the near future, which kind of sucks, but at least theoretically I can help with the planning of the event, even if I'm not at the event, in this particular situation because of Trello, because I can know, well, what the heck have people done so far, and then help them get the rest of the way there. So that's kind of cool. But any questions about Trello or getting how to I don't know if this is listed on Tim's version, but I have the ability to add members to the board. Anyone, I made it a public board that anyone can look at. Yeah. The newlug board or the newlug boards. I made it so that anyone could look, but not everyone could act on it. So what I'm doing is I'm actually
Hey, Mike.
New card on the newlug board real quick.
Mike Putnam. I hope you heard.
Say what? I heard Tim talking, but I didn't hear it all.
Add Mike Putnam if you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we need. Yeah. We usually need his address, and I assume that we have it. So, quick. Go back to boards.
It's when Ross was describing this, it's really good for anything you're doing, organizing or anything like that. And I thought it was. I said I could use this at work.
Do we have Mike's?
How about business process management? It may not be automated yet. They mention that you can do it, but it doesn't quite. You have to do
Unmute it and ask him.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm sending an invite to Mike. So he should be invited. Mike, are you still there, or I know your video chat went away, so I don't know if that
Yeah, he's still here and he can hear you.
left in a huff, or we're simply attempting to save bandwidth.
No, he can hear you.
It's already bandwidth.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Mike,
just turned it on.
check your. He's in. Okay, good.
Thanks, Ross.
Now he's.
Said thanks.
Oh, well, Tim, by the way, I'm making you an admin of this organization, so you have the ability to invite people as well. Which, hooray, that.
Unmute your
So
mic and
now
ask
Tim
him a
has the
question.
ability to add members as well.
Ross.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, now.
Okay, all right, we got that fixed. Can you still hear me? Right, let me just give you just 15 seconds of background. My wife uses a tool called Click by eBridge at Medical College of Wisconsin. They have either dozens or hundreds of grants that they have to keep track of where they are in the various parts of the process. And it has to be automated, at least a large part of it. You don't want to have to drag all these blocks into different columns. It's not that there's anything bad about that, but there's just the scale of it is too big for that type of business, that type of BPM to be able to use this Trello. But I did notice, I've Googled Trello, and then double quotes, business process management, and they say that, they claim that Trello is a collaboration tool, et cetera, and can even do business process management.
So,
I haven't
so maybe if we got
Seeing
one
that
line,
it's doing it to the scale that,
and then I can use the speaker, and then everybody
you
can
know,
talk.
other BPM, commercial
And how
BPM
many
products
directional
do.
mic or just a
Is this
regular mic?
intended eventually to evolve to that level?
I think that would work for, and we almost can have like somebody from any Google or anybody do it.
We could probably work with just one camera too and one setup, since we're all in this room. Set it up near the front of the screen, just showing us, or set it up back here and just showing the screen.
Right.
We don't have to see, I mean, those people can see just one picture with all of us in it, or one picture with the screen.
Okay. Oh, I can turn it on?
So that's the link is in the chat window. But basically, one thing we didn't really talk about was the ability to use voting in Trello, whereas previously I had made suggestions. With, I would say, a small to reasonable amount of success, but not a large amount of success, because the interface was kind of a pain, and the ability to interact with that list once you had voted on something, either up or down, that was pretty much it. I believe only the admins had the ability to make comments, which was kind of a pain. Whereas this is a lot more interactive for the same.
Oh.
Clone the card just because I felt like it. You can make it look just as easy, but let's see. Crowbox development. Oh, sorry. Buffalo S server hack. So this is stuff that I find interesting because I now have one of those devices. Like, I have it right here. So I'm kind of interested in that right now because I kind of want to, make it work and see if it's useful. But I don't know if other people have that, any desire whatsoever to hear about that. And seeing as I am not the president, Tim Bolz has the ability to determine presentation topics at will with his iron-willed determination of presidential power meeting topic decision.
Saddam Bolz here.
Need to look at the well, for example, but oh yeah, see, there we go. So there's another one up on there now. Networking Linux SSH.
It's gone again.
That's cool. And now I've voted up that answer. And I'm assuming you're seeing in the upper right-hand corner notifications, which is another feature of Trello. You have the ability to see other stuff that you want to do, which is good in the general scheme of things. If you're wondering, hey, I wonder what's happening with that thing that I was thinking about. That works out okay. But yes, it seems that with Trello, we have a more straightforward and relatively robust way of saying, we have ideas. We have ideas with people that are willing to talk about them. We have scheduled stuff, and we have stuff that we did in the past, aka stuff that we scheduled and did. So, if we had presenters on gPixie before, maybe we want a presentation on that again. Assuming that I think John would have a while ago. It's the previous presentation topics first allows us to toot our own horn about all the awesome stuff that we talked about in the past, but also to archive information about it. The Python web frameworks. I believe we have in the Python web frameworks we have a link to the video for the presentation, as well as the presentation slides linked directly from the card. So not only do you have a quick hit history, but you have information about that presentation at your fingertips, which is a lot more convenient than Google Moderator just saying, well, people like this idea. So now what? This gives us the so now what planning on the newlug side to say, oh, well, people are interested in that. Like, learn to improve our code? Yes. Awesome. And once you get people, once you get topics with lots of votes, you can, or in the comments you see, I am willing to talk about this in addition to being interested in this. This is where you go from interesting topic to interesting topic with a presenter to reading topic to actually having it happen. And the more that we can make that happen, the better, at least in my opinion. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Can we all?
Other than that, does anybody have any questions?
Can you want to?
Trello and or newlug as it relates to Trello.
Ross?
Yes.
And we're not getting feedback there. Good. Can we?
Ross?
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. Oops.
Okay, all right. I didn't see, did you say we can all get onto that, or just you and Tim?
He has to add you, or I have to add you. But-
On this
yes,
Trello, we
yes.
can all contribute to that?
Yeah, you
Okay,
can.
all right.
We have to get logged in, we have to get an
Yeah,
account to add
yeah,
to it.
yeah. Me and Ross can add you. Well, we can add you right now.
Sure.
Can you add us? Okay.
Yeah, Ross can add you.
Can you add me?
What, is he using like Google accounts or?
It's
You
just
can do
using
that
Trello.
or on like vanilla.
But yeah, I like this
Email
because
address.
I'm going to start using it at work and here at work and then take it from work, and tell my boss that this is my things that I'm planning on doing, and then he can do a checklist and I can do my progress on it, and he can actually come in and see it,
Yeah.
which
good.
is really nice.
Right.
Because I'm like, this would be work good
Yeah.
for work.
It does sound like a manual business process management type
Oh,
of application.
You unmuted or
Well,
oh you're still okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, Tim,
I'm muted.
the thing that I was, I can't hear anyone, so it's difficult to know if I'm trying to.
No, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so the thing that I was asking Tim, if Tim, you could click the board profile button on the newlug presentation I did this morning.
Board profile. Okay.
Now, this shows you that there are permissions for each board to allow you to either grant or take away the ability to do certain things on this board. So, for example, visibility we have set to public. Anyone can see this because there's no particular secrets about anything that's happening. However, we have decided to limit the actual voting to people that are actually part of the newlug, which means that you do actually have to get invited in to the newlug group, which is simply as easy as asking for an invite because we want everybody to be in here. And then same thing with comments. If you have the ability to do, if you're a part of newlug, you have the ability to vote and make comments on any of the meeting topics or any of the things in the planning process. Permissions is members. So I think if we add you to either of the boards, that means you can create stuff. We have the organization members adding themselves to the board currently disabled. But if people really want to add themselves to the board in order to make topics, I'm cool with that. Whatever is useful there. I just prefer not to have people deleting stuff because that would suck. But that's the big thing there. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff here where you can color code, you can label stuff. Archived stuff for long times. But in this particular case, that's not as necessary.
Look at Mike go.
Cool,
Mike go.
Somebody really likes
Just playing with this
somebody programming stuff with Purple or whatever, Linux stuff with other things. Super freaky. So, yeah, that's the big stuff there. So, again, other questions, comments, snide remarks about Trello? I mean, the big thing about this is, let's see, social editing tool kind of like Google Wave. I agree. This is kind of like Google Wave, only it's got a point to it. It's designed with a particular purpose instead of existing for the sake of existing. Which was the problem for Google Wave. It was, hey, this thing exists and it's kind of like email, and it's kind of like chat, and it's kind of like other stuff.
This does one thing
some people
pretty well.
said, oh, that's cool. And the majority of people said, so I've already got instant messages and I've already got chat and all of that stuff, and I can share files with people. So what am I supposed to do on Google Wave? And then there were the sounds of crickets, because most of the time there really wasn't a purpose to be there, which led people to not be there, which led the servers not to be very successful, which wanted to die, and will eventually be, or open sourced and reborn as Apache Wave, the open source project, which will take over the world someday. Well, I don't know. It probably won't, but it will have Google Wave has its purpose as a internal business process management or internal social business networking intranet thing, I would say, maybe for some corporations. But, this has a much more narrow focus of, we're helping people do things, and giving a, relatively clear set of, verbiage for people to work with. There's boards, there's cards, there's lists, there's comments, there's notes, So it's a limited subset of things that can cover a wide variety of topics and a wide variety of actions. So its simplicity, I would say, and its narrow focus is an asset because it allows you to say, oh, I can use this to get things done. I need to do things. Maybe I should, track the things that I do here, and start doing it, and the rest is history, I would say. But it's up for debate. I just think it being web-based, cross-platform, easy to interact with, and still containing features that allow for some granular management where it counts, not a whole lot of granular management where it doesn't seem to matter. That's kind of the thing for me. It's the best thing I've found yet, but I welcome dissenting opinions and other ideas there.
The cards interface is a little. It took me 3-4 tries to really understand what each field is doing. But once you've done it a few times, I think the hook will be. It only works if lots of people, or at least more than one, are interested in using it, right? But then, if you're all on board, it's pretty capable.
Wait a minute, I'm going to mute this. I'm going to let Ross hear what you're saying. He can hear you.
Sure. I was just commenting that it's the topic columns or whatever they're called. That's probably my favorite part because you can look right at it and understand what it is and what it means and shuffle stuff around and watch it happen. And I also mentioned that the adding a card was a little confusing at first to understand what each field actually meant in respect to these columns. But once, after a few tries, you've kind of learned what it is. And then the last thing I mentioned was, it doesn't work so good if it's only yourself, but if lots of people were on board with using it, yeah, it seems pretty capable.
Why wouldn't it work with just one person? Let's say you were
I could
just
just keep
doing
a
your
text
own.
file.
What to do, like a to-do
Talk
list.
to yourself, yeah.
No, well, no, I mean, if you,
Oh, wait a minute.
or let's say you were the
For all
BPM
intents and
manager
purposes, I was using this just
of
for
a
personal
particular
does it work okay?
group at company XYZ, and you didn't have all your employees or your group participants keeping track of it, but you needed some organized method, in the different columns.
Sure, I guess that's just preference, but I tend towards things that I know aren't going away, like a text file.
Right.
Oh, well,
But
okay.
the moment I need to interact, then something like this.
And this is kind of nice, this web-based, because then you can go on the web anywhere. I can be here at work, or, you could think of something at home that you need to do at work. That's what I was thinking, like, I need to do this, I can get on Trello and add it to my list, and then Chuck will know, like, immediately. I'll just say, like, he would know my progress that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's kind of good that way. So.
Can you have it so that multiple people can see it, but only one or a smaller group can edit?
Maybe
Different
Ross can
people read it,
answer
right?
that. Here, let me get into this and use this.
You're talking about permissions,
Right.
as far as
Right,
the
Yes.
differentiate between who can see something and who can do something.
right.
Yes, that was it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That's where the board profile comes in, where you can say, if you're not a part of this board, you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't do anything with it. Or you could say it's public. There's nothing to hide. We would welcome more people being interested in it, which is how newlug is set up.
This actually was
if I
good
had
kind
a
of.
plan for world domination,
Oh, yeah, I mean,
that
Anything.
would
disparate
be
group of
public.
folks.
Yeah, because I would like to, if you want to set up a meeting one, then kind of like invite us, because you can do that then, now that you know how to do it. And we can, I'd like to put input on it, that.
So is there just there's just a board and then, which has members and,
Right, yeah.
in other words, if you're on the board, then you can read and write and then can.
Well, I mean, the main things that they granulated out as far as permissions were concerned were voting and commenting. So the ability to vote and the ability to comment, you could specifically say only this level of rights can do that, and then there's the member, which is the rest of the functions.
Okay.
Well, I want to hear about this secret world domination group again that's in there.
Yeah.
I mean, you could throw it. I Trello World Domination.
Yeah. VHS.
I don't have it. So.
I'd be monitoring this. Yeah. The NSA, that's for sure. Yeah. We were just kidding.
Oh, okay.
Carnivore's listening.
You
I
can,
wrote an article about this. If you don't want. One of the meeting topics. I think I wrote a how to.
oh, yeah, that thing you get, I think.
Yeah, that was totally Ross's idea. Yeah, we should do that. I mean, I don't know that we could sustain an actual group that is free geek in an area like this, but
Well,
you could have an event
I
that
think-
does similar things.
I think what we can do is maybe get the, Goodwill or something like that involved, because we could, because Goodwill has, Harmony Cafe?
They got two of them,
Yeah,
yeah.
the thing about, I don't know, if I were to incorporate Free Geek, I would incorporate Free Geek with Free Geek. I wouldn't try to do it with
Right, right.
Which should be.
Because I know that some Goodwills have
Free
dabbled
Geek is a
with
group
computers,
that's sprouted
like
up
the,
in
like the Habitat
Seattle or
Restore and
Oregon, I
Google
forget.
both
where,
at one
but
time
they, just to give the
carried
folks that know
donated
hardware,
computers
and they rejuvenate
and
donated
typically
hardware
that doing
to better
that
themselves and then
coincides
give it
with
away to people who need it. And once they've gained enough skills, they get one themselves.
not
So
having
kind
that
of
person
an
working there
incentive to keep
usually
going.
leads to what leads
Such
to
as
the
people
end of the
repurposing
program
computers.
rather suddenly because there's nobody who can do it.
But that's like a static
So,
nonprofit. They're a whole
so
thing all
partnering
by
with Goodwill
themselves. Where
leads me to be a
They have a website, Free Geek.
let's say hesitant because they could just say, oh yeah, we're gonna get one.
Well, Free Geek started in Portland, I
That's
think
what it
Portland,
was.
Oregon.
Yes. I thought it started in Oregon as well.
Yeah, where you had people donating computers, and you'd get a computer, but you had to kind of work there for a
Yeah,
little bit.
it's a skill
Sort
that
of
you
a
earn your
pass
computer by learning about
forward
computers,
kind
which is
of
not the
Yeah.
first
thing.
Yeah, it's kind of a good idea. And most of them run Linux.
Oh, well.
They all run Linux. I believe they all run Ubuntu,
Oh, okay,
which was my favorite part of it.
that's cool.
About it. You work on computers and give them away. You reserve the right to tell them, no, you're not getting a Windows computer. Linux works good enough. Use it at home.
And propagating Linux in the
Quit
process.
bothering Windows and all of the
Or
crap.
Unixes.
that comes along.
Unices.
For example, the volunteer sysadmin work that I've been doing and in the process of trying to transition to not doing, just due to lack of time, I'm trying to set up some computers that were donated that even have legit copies of Windows, but there's this new bug where Windows will claim that it can't update itself because it's not in the right version, even though it's the right version. And I think the updating tool to try to update that, to let it update again, needs .NET, which you get through Microsoft Update, which you can't get to because it says you can't get updates. There's lots of cyclical problems. Same thing. A vanilla install of Windows XP has hardly any network drivers from the last 5 to 7 years. So nearly any computer that you're given for free, even if you have a legit copy of Windows, you can't access the internet to get it set up until you use some other box to identify, well, usually a USB key utility of some sort, to identify the network hardware that exists, download the drivers, and then install. And then you can start the whole process of, 4 gigs of updates plus .NET plus .NET updates plus etc. So not having to have to deal with that is super awesome as far as helping people out. At least, I've grown weary of the Windows dance as far as doing volunteer work, because if I'm doing something in my free time, I don't really want hours and hours of Windows updates.
Right.
It may be needed, but it's not fun for me at all.
Right.
Quick question about SSH, since I've got a bunch of known users in the room. If you use the .ssh/config file to do proxy command in my case, how do I temporarily override that? Like, it's just sitting there in the config, so if I just issue SSH, it's going to go try to use it. But when I'm here, I don't have a proxy I have to worry about. So how do I, at runtime?
That's one, here I thought I knew everything about SSH. Those are proxy, so it has to go through
At work, there's a proxy, so I run cntlm, which is just a Windows, it's compiled to talk NTLM to the Windows IIS proxy. So I give it my network credentials and it just runs, and I send all my local requests to it and it proxies them to that proxy. But then when I take the laptop off that network, I don't want to do that. And short of just commenting out that line, which I just did. I was just wondering if there was a flag or something.
Usually there's a way to override all configuration options, you know, like the Bolz.
SSH-F dev null.
There's so many Unix.
I mean,
things, like, just in the
yeah,
last
as
week.
long as you don't have anything else in your config. You know, like mine, I've got a few other things in there set up so I can, like, you know, tunnel
Right.
X11 across it if I have to.
That's awesome. In the last week, I've just observed others using like aha or oh duh. Why didn't I think of that type? You know,
What was it you
Unix
said?
conventions.
Well,
Well, you give SSH a -F.
For where's your config file?
So instead of reading the default .ssh/config,
oh,
you pass it whatever, and you just point it
Oh.
at dev null.
That is
So it's
awesome.
gonna
I
read
love
nothing.
Special, hey, ignore my usual stuff. read
Exactly.
This file.
Right? Yeah.
That sounds fun.
I
So you put all sorts of fancy stuff in there or throwaway stuff that you don't want to mess with your usual config.
Yep. Just yesterday, I witnessed somebody doing some network troubleshooting where they using netcat and dev0, and netcat is basically just it's just like regular cat,
Yeah.
but it's intended to go to a network port. So you say netcat dev0, and you pipe essentially zeros or nothing, stream them really to a port, so port 80. Then on your other box, like that you're testing on the other end of the connection, you do a wget, and you pipe the output to nothing. You just established wide open as much as that pipe can handle. You're saturating it in two
Right.
commands. Wow, Unix is awesome.
Yes, Linux is indeed awesome.
Well, that's what I was thinking about doing in networking for next month, but it's like, I don't know, I have a bunch of questions that I don't know, but maybe you might know, or somebody might know that I can.
that's been one of my things all along, to say instead of going some grandiose thing like, you know, let's give a deal on how to send a mission to the moon or something like that, you know, the little
Sharing those
a lot
tricks.
of stuff on SSH or something. SSH can do so many things. Find can do so many things.
But
Just
learn
something,
shell
and
commands.
you can hardly even give a complete coverage of either of those in a presentation.
Right. You almost need a weekly working session just to work through them all.
well,
Yeah.
there's a couple things that I'd like to, I wanted to like get into my box once, and I couldn't get into my box because I didn't know the IP address, and so I got into the box, got the IP address, and then the SSH is kind of, then you have to know the key to port it to the other box to get into, or
I don't know why you need a key. That's,
or you have to delete.
you have to
the
know
key.
where it is, you know.
Yeah. But it was, I finally did a kind of like a how-to for myself.
All right.
But it was every time I kind of like have
As
to
I
look
say, I
at
think the real clue is to use one of these dynamic DNS type services. I've had deals where like at work or something where I've had some host, something went crazy and it lost its proper IP address and came back on something else, but I was able to like go into one of the boxes it's trying to communicate to and say, okay, where's that coming from? And then be able to get back to it.
I've taken to it's very similar, but either I can't get to those dynamic DNS services, or they expire because I haven't bothered to keep them up at like DNS or whatever. Is assuming I have a web host somewhere else, a stable something on the web.
Yeah.
I'll just run a cron every hour that says what's my IP and just push it up to a little text file. It's called /IP.
Oh,
as long as I can get to that.
Yeah.
oh, so
Yeah, I had something like that where I had a remote system and I had a cron script that I think like 3 or 4 times a day, just like every 6 hours. I just had it get a wget a web page off of my main server, and so if it disappeared because Roadrunner renumbered the network again, I could log into my main server, grep the access log from Apache, and go, okay, it just hit 3 hours ago from that IP, so there's where I have to go
Yeah,
to
we could
now.
have entire meetings on grep alone, cron by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
That's
Got
a good
4
one.
meetings on lock.
How to effectively use
Oh
it.
God, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
some of
that's
those.
cool.
Vim,
Or,
Max,
maybe-
whatever.
What is it? Greater than and less than when you're piping in
Yeah.
files or piping things out.
File redirection.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Right, I mean, if you take a few of those tools, if you really got it down, you
Redirection.
can do all kinds of crazy things.
Oh yeah.
the ability to do something and also port its output to a file at the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing reading and writing to a co-process for Michelle.
Whoa.
Oh,
Where
you're
you
like,
had a script that was basically like
over my head.
find,
Right.
and it gets its own set of file descriptors that your shell script can read and write from those file descriptors, and then like still prompt you on screen for stuff.
Wow.
I've done a little bit of
I
that.
think that's like level 201 class. We're I think I'm still in the 101 class.
Yeah. Well, I know I like to use, for copying partitions, I use like, netcat or whatever, and usually, press it if need be. And I always hate using like DD or something. Usually I end up DD. I always use it a lot, but always makes me nervous. It says, if you get that in wrong,
Yeah.
oops, there goes your hard drive.
Creates disk images. So
Oh,
you
yeah,
can,
yeah, yeah.
format a floppy or
Oh,
format a
yeah,
hard
DD.
drive.
Yeah. Same thing with using what's it called DBAN or disk wiping utilities. Like if you
Who needs that? Just do DD.
never stop a disk wiping utility mid-wipe.
Oh.
Really, really bad idea. Even if it looks like it's not working, just if it looks like it's taking forever, let it take forever and just a little while longer. Never try to stop it or restart it. Never try to do anything while it's happening.
Oh, really?
Stopping it in the middle is the same as hitting it with a sledgehammer. It's never. It's not even going to recognize itself as a drop.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
You need a low-level formatting utility then if you're going to do that, like Microscope 2000 offers low-level formatting utilities, at least for SCSI and IDE drives. I don't know if they offer one for SATA. I haven't updated my version yet. So,
Oh,
but you can recover. You can actually low-level format, factory format any drive.
oh, really? With it's a Microsoft product? Or?
No, it's Micro 2000 is the name of it. It's put out by a company down in Florida. You have to buy it. It's not freeware.
Oh, I just use the Ultimate Boot CD, which is free. The Ultimate Boot CD has a couple different versions of disk wiping utilities. The one that I use is DBAN, Derek's Boot, and Nuke, which has a couple different options. But yeah, that is free and has worked well enough for me. Because usually when I'm wiping drives, the only thing that people want to know at the end is, did you do it? The answer is yes. So,
Oh, Thomas is saying that. Okay. Hi, Thomas.
yeah, I think Thomas is yeah, really awesome.
Well, it's almost.
I think I officially ported over all of the presentation menus from the moderator, so no one needs to go there anymore. Not that people have, now it's official.
Sure.
Oh, wow, that one would be good.
Tim, thank you for the earbuds.
Oh,
I've got to get one.
In fact, there's so many things like what we just described.
Yes,
Utilities are-
every time we come up, that's what I keep on coming. Of course, now that's kind of things that I find useful.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So, hey,
What do you
Do
find
one thing, do
useful?
it well.
just things like SSH and,
Yeah,
grep
because everyone
and-
knows SSH machine,
Fine.
and you're in. But yeah,
You
there's so
think,
many other things
fine,
you can do
go and
with
read
it.
the man page once, yeah,
Maybe one idea would be,
Or-
instead of devoting an entire monthly meeting to one, which you could easily do, but pick one for to go with every other topic that you pick. So, for example, today, talk through Trello, save the last 33% of the meeting for talking about SSH,
right.
and then pick another one to go with the next month or something.
Yeah.
Oh, like
Oh,
yes.
like the command of the month.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I did
The
it,
command of the month is apropos.
actually, yeah, I did it this morning. Like that there's these thumbnail directories. Like some of these people had like a gigabyte of thumbnails,
Oh.
And I just did a thing with find, and just find, all things in the thumbnail directory that were greater than 30 days old, and execute rrm / schooling bracket whatever, and it took a long time to run,
Yeah, because Windows.
but
is
they
gonna-
went away.
Gonna
Huh?
make those automatically whenever a Windows machine accesses.
Well, this is
a-
Linux.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So it must have been some other app generating those.
yeah, it was all in KDE. Like you go into the thing where it makes its either if you go into it gives thumbnails of photos.
Oh, okay.
If it automatically creates, if you're on the file manager, it will actually make, like if you got a document, it'll make a miniaturized version of that thing.
Right.
And
It stores
the
those
Open
all?
Office
I
document.
didn't know that.
Yeah, and it stores it in those thumbnails.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
GNOME does something like that too. Now that I think
yeah,
of it.
and so it just kind of grows. Now, I was looking at it, there is a way, I found some other way too, where somebody was saying that in the metadata, there is a pointer that says where the file that it's looking at is.
Okay.
And I saw somebody else did a script where you go look, read it, and then see if the file exists
Nah.
and whatever. But I was figuring, God, I got so many of them. I got to thin it out first.
Yeah.
Mike, are you adding this topic of the month or that? Okay. I mean, you know how many times in the past 35, almost 40 years, I've sat down and learned or relearned like awk or something, I mean, it's just a constant relearning, Last time I even looked at SSH stuff, it's probably 5 years ago when I was working in Algoma.
I wish there was an easy way that I could, and I think your way is probably the best way to do it, because then you can get right in. But I think that I had a problem with
I don't see it really as a security issue to speak of, because I say most of the people are 99.9% of people that are attacking your home server have no clue or care about what its domain name is.
Well, can you have more than one of those DNS names? So like I can have one for work here and
I assume so. I haven't done one for a really long time.
because my work computer, or the marquee computer, we call it, my old work computer, is so slow that I think probably the only best thing it can be used for is SSH.
Do you think sed and awk would be lumped together, or could they be separate topics?
No, set and ed and stuff should be separate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Word processors
Often used
by
together,
set
but-
and by maybe, but not set and awk.
Well, I know kind of on the topic there, but it's, that I've got a lot of things I'm interested in, but I don't think enough people would be. For instance, it's like talking about that. I've got my own authoritative domain servers at work, and, my deal at home, I could say, hey, I've got a domain server. I can set it up at home, but it's, I've never seen a simple way for me to shoot the thing over to it.
Oh, so when your home IP changes to update?
Yes.
Yeah, I looked at that a
You know,
long
I forget,
time
and I
ago.
can't remember. I don't you work with DNS long enough. There is a mechanism in Bind for
Right.
dealing with this remote stuff, but it's not really that's
No, because I remember, when I touched it was probably 6-8 years ago. But basically, you couldn't use a regular old text file for your zone anymore. You had to use like basically a binary, like a database almost.
And you're doing it, you can't.
And-
for dynamic stuff, you have to basically run it through the commands.